No one shops on Facebook Marketplace expecting to get robbed at gunpoint, but that's exactly what happened to 4 different people who thought they were buying used ATVs in Bristol Township in early 2025. They arrived at the address the seller gave them, which was an apartment complex. That's when the seller pulled out a gun and demanded all their money, which he knew they had because they were there with cash to buy his ATV. The man pulled this scam 4 times before he was finally caught, but it makes you wonder, how easy is it to use social media to commit crimes? It also makes you wonder, what are the authorities doing about that? Well, as it turns out, more than you think, and maybe more than you're comfortable with. If you post on social media, there's a good chance that either the police or a government agent are reading it, and I'm not talking about your friend Cheryl who works at the DMV. You might have guessed that police use social media just like everyone else in the world, but you might not realize the full extent of it. I'm sure you've seen the pictures that they post after a drug bust, where they put all the drugs and weapons in big stacks on a table to show the public what they confiscated. Or maybe you've seen those viral videos of police officers collapsing at a crime scene from what they say is exposure to fentanyl or other dangerous drugs. Now, these are common for police departments to post, and they do the same thing for the police that advertisements do for businesses. They remind you they're out there, and they keep the police at the top of your mind. The idea is that if you're a law-abiding citizen, this content informs you and makes you feel safe. And if you're a criminal, it's a warning to watch out. But does it work? Maybe, but that's not the main thing that police use social media for. Just like everyone else on social media, the police can post and read other people's posts, and that is where the real value is for the police. Think about this. A restaurant is robbed at 8:30 in the morning, and there are no cameras in the building or on the property. Aside from interviewing the victims, what else can the police do? Well, what about searching posts from that time from social media users in the local area? If anyone tagged the restaurant in a picture around that time, or if someone was recording a Facebook Live video, it's possible that footage of the robber coming or going is on there. Or maybe someone was identified near the scene and was suspected of being involved in the crime. If the police bring him in for questioning, he might present an alibi for where he was at the time. He could claim to have been home at the time the robbery happened. But if the police check his social media and see a picture of him 10 minutes before the robbery, 2 blocks away from the restaurant, that pokes a big hole in his alibi. But sometimes they take it even one step further than just reading posts. Sometimes when police have a person they suspect of a crime, they will create ghosting accounts. These are undercover profiles, for example, a fake Facebook account that they then use to send friend requests to the suspect. This allows them to watch the suspect closely and monitor their activities and posts. They use the same tactics to infiltrate groups that they suspect of committing or planning to commit crimes. For example, a police officer might create a fake account for a user with extreme political views and attempt to join private groups or message boards where they suspect illegal activities like riots or attacks are being planned. Now, it's undeniable that there are some positive ways that law enforcement uses social media. For example, some police stations work with teen volunteers to look through web pages to find and expose cyberbullying. Millions of kids worldwide are affected by it, and the police intervene by messaging the bullies and also sending notification letters to their families to highlight the incident and warn of the potential consequences. But there are also times when it can feel like an overreach. For instance, social media is often used by colleges and universities to catch students in underage drinking activities, to punish them with fines and potentially even expulsion from the school. While underage drinking can be a serious problem, is constant social media monitoring the good solution? The big question you may have here is, are these tactics legal? Most people know that the Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches by the government. So does that protect you on social media? Well, the answer is, the Fourth Amendment only protects you when you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And what does that mean? Well, here's an example. If you're talking to a friend in the basement of your house with the windows closed and the curtains drawn, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. However, if you have the same conversation in line at a McDonald's, the expectation of privacy goes away because you are in a public place and potentially surrounded by people. And the same rule applies for social media. When you post on Facebook, you're putting that post out for many people to see. Basically, you're sharing it with the public. Once you've done that, the police can look at your posts with no problem because it's considered publicly available. But that brings up the question, what about if you have a private or protected account? Many people keep their accounts limited to only a few select people who can see what they post. So does that mean the police can't access that without a warrant? Well, that gets tricky, and courts have decided in different ways depending on the circumstances of the case. One thing is for certain though, if a police officer goes undercover as an account on Facebook and you connect with them and then share private information, that can still be used against you even if you felt you had the right to privacy. It's no different than if you shared information about a crime you committed to an undercover police officer. You may not have known that they were a police officer, but you still voluntarily shared the information. And most social media platforms claim that they will not give law enforcement agents your information unless it is requested with a warrant. But how safe is your information, really? In 2023, of the 270,000 requests law enforcement made for information about users in the first half of the year, Facebook provided some information for about 77% of the requests. And keep in mind, some of those requests are made without a warrant. Facebook isn't the only one either. According to the same Cyber News report, TikTok, Google, and Apple also provided information to law enforcement for over 70% of the requests. This is one reason why more people have moved to platforms like Signal for communications, because they feel that their information and messages are just safer there. And of course, social media isn't just a one-way street for law enforcement. While police officers and immigration officials can use social media to track suspects and persons of interest, everyone else can use social media to keep tabs on the police as well. One clear example is the use of Facebook Live during encounters with police officers. Often someone who feels their safety is at risk will turn on Facebook Live when they are stopped or pulled over. This is a defensive measure designed to provide video accountability for the interaction between them and the police officer. Unlike simply recording with your phone camera, Facebook Live broadcasts right then, so an officer is not able to confiscate and erase the footage before it is seen. Because of the use of social media, many law enforcement officials have been caught on camera breaking the law, and some civilian deaths by assault or gunshot have even been broadcast. The question of the connection between social media platforms and law enforcement becomes more complicated all the time, as tech owners donate to political parties to gain favor, and there are even owners of social media companies working directly with the president and the government. All the benefits that come from social media, from fast and easy communication to the ability to store interactions with friends and family for years, those are also the same things that can get people into trouble with the law. And the more power that social media has in people's lives and in the government, the more difficult it becomes to separate your online life from your real one. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments if you think law enforcement should keep an eye on the public on social media, or if places like Facebook should be a welcome place for anonymity and privacy. If you want to see more stories about the secret, shadowy corners of the legal world, be sure to like and subscribe to No Way That's Legal. We'll see you in the next video.